This is a Louie Tee Network exclusive.
Who else get it, big? Me, your me. Louie Tee, welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. On the 2016 NFL Draft Prospects 101 series, your guide to some of the biggest and hottest names of the 2016 NFL Draft. We're talking edge pass rushers. What good is a defense if you can't get to the quarterback, right? Well, maybe this next guy tickles your fancy and you think he can help you get to the quarterback. I'm talking about Oklahoma State's defensive end, Emmanuel Ogbah. This is a guy that I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm gonna put my cards on the table. You know, I'm an upfront guy, I'm always upfront with y'all. Y'all know how I do it. I don't hold any punches, and I don't sugarcoat anything. I wasn't impressed with Emmanuel Ogbah, man. I watched this guy and I said, how in the hell did you get 13 sacks this season? Because I didn't see it. But let's break him down, talk about his pros and his cons, and then we're gonna move on to the next guy in the process. Built like He-Man. At 6'3", 275, this dude is built like he's built to last for the long haul. I mean, built for it tough. If I had money, I'd tell you what to do. I'd go downtown, buy a Ford truck or two. He looks like he's built like a Ford truck. I mean, he's a big physical dude. It seems like he's wired and wound tightly. But I feel like because of his build, it lends itself to this next pro. Start at the point of attack. Not a guy you're gonna move very easily in a run game. In fact, I thought he was really impressive in the run game and was a guy that could get off blocks and he showed some explosive bursts, and that's the next pro. Very explosive bursts. Now, you don't get it all the time. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but start at the point of attack. He's able to discard and disengage and get in the backfield, make some plays. He's a guy that once he gets free, he can have an explosive burst and get on you in 2 or 3 steps. Boom! Emmanuel Ogbah is on you and he's on the case and you're not getting away. So there are some things that he does do well. Offers some versatility. Okay, that's the next pro. He can be a 4-3 defensive end. He can be an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. And they played him in multiple positions at Oklahoma State. So that's something that I think you can be really comfortable in seeing him do moving forward. So again, another one of these guys that does a lot, and the defense that he was in, he never really got to be comfortable in one particular position because they moved him around, but it all really revolved around him getting pressure on the quarterback. So I don't have a problem with that. High production numbers for Emmanuel Ogbah. 28 career sacks, 40 tackles for loss. This guy got better each and every single year. I mean, I think he started out with like 5, and the number went to like 11, then it went to 13. So he's a guy that's getting pressure on the quarterback, man. I mean, I don't see it though, but he's doing it, and he's a try-hard guy. He gets coverage sacks. Let's talk about his cons since we're on that subject matter. The first thing that jumps out at me is inconsistent burst. Now, you don't get it all the time, and I actually feel really dumb for saying this, what I'm about to say. Like, I can't even believe I'm about to say this, but if you don't block him, he's incredible. When he's unblocked, he's explosive. I mean, literally, you don't block this guy, and for some reason, a couple of times, he was unblocked, and he would get sacks. Like, I think about the first game of the season in 2014 versus Florida State, and that's the Jameis Winston led club, and he's unblocked on a particular play, and he literally clotheslines Jameis Winston, sacks him. It's a vicious one too. I mean, clothesline from hell. Boom! Jameis Winston got up a little woozy, like, oh, what the hell, guys? That's their best pass rusher. How is he unaccounted for? When you don't block him, he's a problem. And you can say that about just about any player in football. You don't block him, you're gonna have to deal with a big guy coming after you really, really fast. And I don't think he's any different. But when he disengages from a guy, he becomes really explosive. But in his initial rush, there's no explosion. Like, he's not a guy that's gonna beat you, and I know he can do it, which is mind-boggling. I'm like, dude, I know you're faster and more explosive than this. You're a much quicker, quick-twitched athlete than what you're showing me off the initial snap. And that's where you win. At the college level and at the NFL level, more importantly, at the NFL level, you win off the snap. And he doesn't give you that burst off the snap, which to me is part of the reason why I don't see anything that impresses me. No rush moves at all or plan to speak of is the next comment. Like, there is absolutely no plan when this guy goes to rush. It's like, I'm just going to run into the guy in front of me. If I run past him, great. If I don't, I'm just going to run into him and hope I'm strong enough to bull rush him. And a lot of times, your end result is Emmanuel Ogbah just standing up at the line of scrimmage, hand fighting with the tackle, hand fighting with the guard, and going absolutely nowhere in the process. There's no rush move. There's no spin move. There's no hard move outside, back, inside. There's no whip. There's no swim. There's none of that stuff. Nothing. Which, again, makes me ask the question, how in the hell did you get 13 sacks? But I watched the tape, and I'll tell you how he got sacks. He got a bunch of coverage sacks. A bunch of sacks where he rushes up the field, and the quarterback is in the pocket with the football too long, and Emmanuel Ogbah then sinks back underneath. And wow, look what I found, mama. I found a quarterback and I found a sack. He gets unblocked, he gets a sack. But there are a number of instances that you'll find on tape where you're like, damn, that was a hell of a move. He straight beat a guy with, and he might beat a guy with some speed every now and again, but if he did, it's probably because that tackle just isn't quick-footed enough to get out of his stance, or maybe he just got out of his stance late on that particular play. There's some times where he'll win around the edge with speed, but there's not a lot of times where you're like, man, that was a beautiful move, man. It isn't there, which really was surprising to me because I was expecting to turn on the tape with the production that he had and his name always being one of those names that's thrown out there. I was expecting a lot more from him, and I walked away unimpressed. Doesn't give effort all the time. Now, this is one of those pet peeves that I have. Look, there's a number of things that you can't control as a player. You can't control how explosive you are. You either are or you aren't. You can't control how fast you are. You either are or you aren't. You can't control your hip flexion. Maybe you can get better at that if you stretch and you do some things, but for the most part, some guys just have the ability to bend a corner. Maybe you just don't. He's a tightly wound guy, so I don't know if he has that capability. I don't see it on tape, but either way, you can control, I said all that to say this, you can control effort. That's something that you can control as a player in any sport. You can control effort, and I don't see it from him on a consistent basis. There'll be times where he'll give you maximum effort, and then he'll take a few snaps. So I'm not going to get to the quarterback. Yeah, you're not going to get to the quarterback like that. No, you're damn right you're not going to get to the quarterback. So that's something that irks me to no end. I want to see effort all the damn time. If you're tired, tap out. But don't be on the field giving me 50% of what you got, because that's not going to be good enough on any snap, okay? No secondary rush. And when you don't have an initial rush, it's hard to have a secondary rush. When you don't have a plan, a lot of times secondary rushes are obsolete, you know, and with Shaq Lawson, I think that's what makes him a little different, because I talked about him sometimes not having a plan, but he has that spin move that makes up for him not having a plan sometimes. Well, Emmanuel Ogbah didn't have that in his arsenal, so you don't get a secondary rush out of him. So I think when he gets sacked, it's not a secondary rush. It's just, hey, quarterback held on to the football too long, so maybe some good coverage on the back half by the secondary. And, oh, what do you know? I'm still running, I'm still around, the quarterback's still around, he still got the ball. Hey, why not? Let's join together and get me a sack. Why not? Limited agility. Disappointed in his agility. Even when he runs twists and stunts, it's not very agile. It's not sharp. He doesn't make sharp cuts and take great angles to, limit the distance between he and the quarterback. So if he comes looping around from the outside, the guard or the center is like, oh, okay, I still can pick him up. Even if I'm late to the party, I can still get a hand on Emmanuel Ogbah because he's not the most agile guy. Again, very disappointing. I'm telling you right now, I could be wrong about this guy. I've been wrong before, but I'm telling you right now, I walked away from the tape very unimpressed. I said, wow, this is a guy that we are talking about as one of the best edge rushers in this draft. If that's the case, there's not a lot of good edge rushers in this draft. But I feel like there's some guys with some really good upside. I really like what, a guy like Leonard Floyd, never ever trust a man with two first names, brings to the table. But Emmanuel Ogbah doesn't do it for me as a pass rusher. Now, in the run game, I think because he's got so many qualities, he's a big, physical, strong guy with some explosiveness. You know, it's not consistent, but it's there. Because he's got all the tools you can work with, I want him to be an Ezekiel Ziggy Ansah clone. Like, his name starts with an E like Ezekiel Ansah. His last name ends with an H. He's of African descent. I want him to be like Ziggy Ansah. I want that because remember, Ziggy Ansah, when he was at BYU, very new to football, was very raw coming into the league, but everybody saw, and I saw it too, which I don't really see it with him, but everybody saw the athleticism and the potential for this guy. The ceiling was astronomical for Ziggy Ansah. I'm not sure if it's the same for Emmanuel Ogbah, but you got all the things you need. You got all the tools you need to mold this kid into something at the next level. I hope it happens because I don't see it right now. That's Emmanuel Ogbah and his Draft Prospects 101 breakdown. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything. And now, the National Football League. I think I got another edge rusher in me. I'm not sure. Stay tuned to find out. See you next time.
There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie Tee, be sure to follow me on Twitter at @InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page at In the Lab Room. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and at In the Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.